Hi, it's personal trainer and nutritionist Paul from Hench Herbivore, along with my good friend Dr. Leo Venus.
Hey everybody!
And these are our top 5 vegan bodybuilding tips. So Dr. Leo Venus, he's a medical doctor, as you may have guessed, and he's also a vegan fitness influencer. He does really great stuff and it's all evidence-based, which I really love. I think you're going to really enjoy his channel, so check him out on the YouTubes and the Instagrams. And without further ado, here he is with tip number 1.
I'm just gonna kick it right off with the number 1 tip, which is calculating your caloric needs. When it comes to calculating your caloric needs in the industry of dietetics, in that profession, there is a well-used, a most renowned formula that is used for calculating or estimating your caloric needs called the St. George Mifflin formula. I know it sounds like a name of a French mountain, but trust me, it works. So you can Google this and a range of calculators will come up where you can insert your age, your weight, your gender, and then based on the activity level, how much you're training per week, it will give you an estimate of how many calories you will be burning. So say you are 100 kilos and you want to get down to 80 kilograms. When filling out the formula, you put the weight 80 kilograms, and then depending on the activity level, it will give you the number of calories you need to be consuming to get to that weight. Remember though, this is an estimation, so it's not 100% accurate, but it is a very good starting point. Anyways, over to you, Hench.
Tip number 2. Protein amounts and sources. Okay, so there are many varying opinions on the internet as to how much protein do we really need. From my 30 years of experience training myself, training clients, and what I've gleaned data-wise from the studies, it seems to me, this is what I roll with, I shoot for 1.62 grams of protein per kilo of roughly lean body weight for someone on a bulk. I say roughly lean body weight, all the science really is done on athletes, and it's done on total body weight. So fat being inert tissue, you don't need as much protein, if you're carrying quite a lot of fat. The other thing to consider is that ideally you'd be in a slight caloric surplus. Carbohydrate is protein sparing, so if you've not got enough total calories coming in order to put on weight, in order to grow, some of your protein is going to be burned as fuel. So something to keep in mind. Perhaps somewhat counterintuitively, according to the science, on a cut, we actually need more protein than we do on a bulk. This helps us keep in a positive nitrogen state, so we're going to retain the most muscle mass as hopefully, it's body fat that's coming off as your weight's coming down. You're not catabolizing your hard-earned gains. So in this instance, the science suggests possibly 2 grams of protein per kilo of roughly lean body weight per day may be nearer the mark. Protein sources wise, I like as far as possible to choose whole plant foods as they're grown in nature, unadulterated, nothing bad added, nothing good taken out. This gives us the best overall health, so it should be our mainstays. The most protein rich of these, of course, are the legumes. So that's the myriad of different beans. There are hundreds of different beans and they're all amazing. Also lentils, chickpeas and split peas. Then grains, they're pretty high in protein too, particularly like quinoa and amaranth. Vegetables have some in there, they have a moderate amount. Even fruit is about 5% protein by weight. So, by the end of the day, it may not be a lot in some of these foods, but it all adds up. Then you want some other fats, of course, for your healthy fats, omega-3 and 6. So that's like nuts and seeds. They have a decent whack of protein as well. For a larger strength athlete or a smaller person, maybe someone on a cut on a very low amount of calories, it may be beneficial in terms of goals to add in the judicious use of a little more processed protein, just to get those levels up, to optimize your goals. May not be the healthiest, so you have to balance kind of your health and goals and risk reward, like what's more important to you. But in the context of a whole foods plant-based diet, I don't see a couple of scoops of a quality protein powder as being that harmful potentially. So my top picks for those, the protein powder, 1 or 2 scoops depending on your needs. Tempeh is very good. Now tempeh technically, it's kind of a whole food. It's soybeans with fermented mycelium, which is like the root of mushrooms, made into a block. That's really good, it's really helpful. So I don't even consider that really a processed food, and I'd add that in ad libitum. Tofu is great, again it's soybeans. You've lost the fiber, you've lost about half the minerals, On the scale of things, it's not too bad, particularly if it's not like a cutlet with added, you know, like oils, sugars, junk like that. Seitan could be a choice for some people if you're not gluten intolerant. Textured vegetable protein. Yeah, those would be the main ones.
Okay, so for the next point, we're going to go over eating strategies when cutting versus bulking on a vegan diet. And the most important concept to understand here is the concept of caloric density. Some foods have different amounts of calories per unit of weight. So just as an example, if you're eating around a pound of kale, that will give you around 50 to 90 calories, I believe. Where if you're eating that same pound of peanuts, that will give you 3,000 calories. Massive difference. I'm going to put a graph here so that you guys can see some examples of different food groups and how calorically dense they are. Now, when it comes to either gaining or cutting, then I always talk about the healthiest weight loss is a slow weight loss over time, and the healthiest weight gain is also a slow weight gain over time. And in order to do that, you will either want to have a caloric surplus of a few hundred calories, maybe a couple of hundred. And the same when you're losing weight, you want to have a deficit of around a couple of hundred calories. In terms of exactly what you're going to eat in order to accomplish these goals, if you're trying to gain weight and you're having trouble with that, take a look at the caloric density chart and look for the high caloric density foods and incorporate more of those into your diet. Now, if you're trying to cut and get those vegan shreds, then the opposite is true, especially if you're trying to cut slowly and not wanting to go hungry, not wanting to starve yourself. If you want to feel satisfied and satiated throughout the process, then you want to go for the foods that have a very low caloric density, which allows you to stay full while staying in that caloric deficit.
Tip number 4, supplements. Now, I'm not a huge fan of supplements. I've been training 30 years, 3 decades. In my experience, I'd say protein powders can be beneficial for the reasons I stated earlier for the odd person. If you don't need a protein powder and you can get adequate from your food, then just stick to the whole food. Creatine is shown to be very beneficial for most people. It volumizes the muscles, gives us more power output and more endurance. However, 30% of people, and I'm actually one of them, are non-responders. If you add in your creatine and your body weight doesn't shoot up like a few pounds over the first week or two, you'll know that you're a non-responder also, so you're just wasting your time, spending your money on that. There are a myriad of artificial supplements. I've tried them all. In my view, hardly any of them are any good whatsoever. They're so extortionately priced, they do virtually nothing. I think you're better off saving your money and buying better quality food. That's your main thing. A supplement is just that, it's supplementary. The main thing, like the main attraction is the real food. So I'd put your money there. Couple of things though, beetroot juice, pre-workout, 140 mils, 2 to 3 hours before you train, is known to boost performance. It's a vasodilator, it gives you more endurance. If this is a thing that you are interested in, it makes your veins pop out as well, makes you look like a real freak. And the other thing maybe to consider is caffeine. I've heard it referred to as the most effective legal bodybuilding aid. It helps you to grow muscle in about 6 different ways. It's energy, drive, focus, pain reduction. It does work. Again, I'm not one that gets on with caffeine. It tends to do me more of a detriment. There's pros and cons either way. If you're gonna do it, I would say, again, use it judiciously and try to stick to something quite natural like matcha tea or a coffee, something like that. Again, it's a risk-reward thing, and you need to see what's right for you.
Now, I heard rumors that there was going to be a little bonus tip after this tip, so stick around for that. But anyways, the 5th tip that is important to know is around training protocols and the principle of progressive overload. So let's just quickly go over the principle of progressive overload, because this is the main principle that we follow in order to build muscle. And basically what it means is that in order for your muscles to adapt and grow stronger, we need to increase the amount of work and stress that we're putting them through over time. And there are 2 main variables that we can adjust and manipulate to make sure we're going in that direction. One is the volume of work, which means the amount of weights times the amount of repetitions. And then the second thing is intensity. So intensity is the percentage or the proportion of your maximum weight that you are using during your training. So the 2 ways of increasing the work that you're putting your muscles to and hence increasing the adaptations is by either increasing the intensity, increasing the volume, or even both. Obviously, that can be quite challenging, but this is how we make sure over time to keep progressing in the gym. In terms of training protocols, then you have all sorts of things on the internet, from upper lower to full body splits to push-pull legs to bro split where you're doing one muscle at a time. What I recommend to my clients is, depending on the number of days they have to dedicate to the gym per week, we create something that will allow them to hit each muscle group around twice a week. So if you only have 3 days to dedicate to the gym, I would go upper lower plus a full body. If you only have 2 days, we'll go full body both days. If you have 6 days, I would go push-pull legs, push-pull legs. The advantage of having it a little bit more split up is that you can focus more on the specific muscle groups, and also intensity tends to go up if you're having a little bit smaller workouts rather than having a full body workout each time. But then again, there are a lot of top athletes who have had a lot of success with full body workouts, so that's not at all the end all be all of working out. The most important thing is that you're following the principle of progressive overload, you're increasing and you're using the right intensity and volume throughout your workouts, you're eating right, you're resting enough, and the most important thing is that you're getting in that soy. Anyways, bonus time.
This is the single greatest, most important piece of advice that I would give to a young trainee just starting out, or an older trainee that's coming to it in their later years. And that tip is sacrifice. Training regularly, like every day or two, whatever your protocol is. Eating clean 24/7, making sure you get into bed. You know, you have to make sacrifices. Like maybe, you know, you want to go out regularly and get drunk with all your mates. Maybe you'll sort of miss that. Maybe you want to stay up into the early hours playing computer games. Maybe you think, oh, I just have a sort of cheat meal. That's right, people have cheat meals. And then you lose your taste for the good stuff. And then you think, oh, I'll just have a cheat day. And before you know it, like, you've fallen off the wagon. You know, I'm not saying you've got to do it 24/7. You've always got to do these things to the absolute letter. But the more you get it wrong, the slower you'll gain, or the less likely you'll reach success. And you know, you're going to end up unhappy and you're kind of wasting your time. So if you want to get there, if it's really important to you, you'll make it a priority, and 99 times out of 100, you'll let these other things go. Anyway, I wish you every success with your journey. If you'd like personalized help from myself, I offer nutrition and workout plans via email. They'll be bespoke to you as an individual. Also offer Skype consultations. Now be sure to subscribe to my friend Dr. Leo Venus. He's an amazing guy. He's a great YouTuber, great content creator, amazing breadth of knowledge, and I'm sure you'll learn from it and you'll really enjoy his content. So subscribe to him, and I'll see you in the next video.